Hello, everyone. We are going to get started in about 1 minute. We're just getting our logistics set up and making sure that everyone is here with bright and smiley faces. So give us another minute and we will get started. In the meantime, please enjoy our homepage. If you are here, we're excited that you're here. Please feel free to use that chat capability to talk to others. Also, we'd love to hear if you've got any questions, and so please be sure to be here for the Q&A session. You can click that Q&A button, ask any questions as we go along. We will have members of our team that are here to help answer questions while we are going through the presentation. Let's get going. My name is Brett Sklar. I am a marketing person, which means I am probably the least important person on this session. I am excited to have you here and be a part of our conversation. If you are here, you're likely a person that is using Acumatica, and you are here to either collect $50 and the chance to win a $500 gift, or you are here to learn more about Criterion and our HCM or human capital management solutions. There will be a couple of people that are here with me today. And so we've got a great group of people that are here to join. My name again, Brett Sklar, Marketing Cruise Director for you today. We've also got Steve Tompkins, who is our solutions architect, and he's going to go over our capabilities and show you all of the things that Criterion can do, especially as it pertains to Acumatica. On the back end, a person that you will not see or hear, but you will see the fury of his typing, who will be addressing all of the Q&A, Gary Anderson, who is Vice President of our Sales and Account Services. So with that, let's dive right in. And normally for these demo days where we talk about a certain capability or a certain partnership with partners of Criterion, we like to start with killing you by death by PowerPoint. But today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to just show you the information that we have on our website so you can easily go back to it whenever you like to take a look, to learn more, to ask us questions directly, and to enjoy yourself. We're actually quite proud of our website and how it looks. So let's start by talking about a couple of things. Our goal for today, give you enough information about Criterion HCM and how it works with Acumatica. We also want to make sure that you get that $50 Amazon gift card and that chance to win $500. So please stay to the end and we will have a poll, very quick poll that should take you about 3 minutes or less to complete. And then we also want to talk about our partnership with Acumatica and how that all works together. But first, let me ask you a question. Who here is planning to attend the Acumatica Summit? So please chat with everyone when you are able to and let us know if you are going to be there. Guess what? We're going to be there as well. And we would love to be able to see you there and enjoy with you all of the cool things we have to share at the summit. So again, just let us know if you're going to be at the Acumatica Summit, which is taking place at the end of this month. You can see it here on our website, January 26th through 29th at the Wynn, Las Vegas. Okay, let's dive in. So let's talk about Criterion for just a minute, and then we're going to dive into a demo after we talk about a couple of things. First of all, believe it or not, people actually love to use Criterion. People are absolutely enjoying. Oh, and I see that the chat is disabled. Let me add that on and show that everyone can chat with everyone. Thank you, Christine, for that information. Okay, so what is Criterion? We are an HCM platform, a human capital management platform, but one that you'll actually love. We are built to work around you and not the other way around. And we want to show that to you here in our demo today. So we hope that you enjoy it. We also have a fun and playful capability within our platform called Chai, which is Criterion's AI capabilities, where we do a lot of very cool things. And if we have time, maybe Steve, you can show a few things that Chai can do. We also are one of the platforms that will uh, actually give you a really good ROI. Really. The way that we automate, the way that we take a lot of the manual work out of your day, saving you an hour a day, saving you hours a week, that ROI adds up very quickly. And that's one of the things that we're most proud of. And we just say no to anything that is inflexible because without flexibility, you are limited and you have to work around the platform and not the other way around. So that's a high level view of Criterion. Now, on our website, tons of case studies. We've got several industries we work with, and we love to work with them. We also are very proud of some key stats about our platform and how we work. We have over 500 enterprise customers, mid-market enterprise. We've got an over 95% satisfaction score, meaning people actually like to call us and ask us questions and get some help. And we actually like to help them and give answers as quickly and effectively as possible. And because of that mutual relationship, people actually like our platform a lot. We've been around for 20 years. We're definitely not a overnight startup sensation. We've been a steady growth engine for quite a long time, and we're very proud of that. We work across 10 or more countries. I think currently we're in 11. We actually have 100% uptime. Now, months ago, there was an internet security company, CrowdStrike, that took down so many different software platforms or SaaS platforms and a lot of systems. A lot of our competitor systems were actually down. Guess what? We were not down. We stayed up. One of the only HR platforms, and actually one of the only SaaS platforms that stayed up. We have redundancy built in. We have security built in. We have privacy built in because you've got work to do and you don't need the drama of all the other things that get in the way of you getting your job done. And we've got 30 plus native integrations. One of those, Acumatica, we'll get to talk about today. So without further ado, let's talk specifically. And then, we've got the capability across HR systems. We've got talent engagement. We've got payroll operations. And the mighty man behind the demo, Steve, is going to talk through and show you very high level of each of these in our overview and demo today. But let's talk about Acumatica because I believe everybody is here. And thank you, everybody, for contributing to the chat, saying some of you will be at the summit, some of you will not. If you can't make it, we'll be there in your honor. We'll wave a flag in your name and in your honor. And we hope that you actually enjoy yourself if you can't go. And we will send you all the follow-ups. If you're not able to make it, we'll be there for you. But let's talk Acumatica specifically. A couple of ways that we integrate with Acumatica to take a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the manual processes off your plate. We have employee synchronization. So when you add an employee within Criterion HCM, it automatically synchronizes to Acumatica. Same thing for the GL export for the ledger. We will export that into Acumatica. We cross-connect or we two-way sync time entries so that you don't have any manual work that you have to do. This is incredibly important in a lot of industries. We've seen it a lot in construction where this saves a ton of time. We have project, task, and cost codes that are sent from Acumatica to Criterion. And that hopefully helps you with, again, simplifying and not having to manually do work. We synchronize branches as well as sub-accounts as well. So those are a couple of the key features. Some other items I do want to share, and there's actually more features, and Steve is going to kick off with some of those additional features that we've just recently added. So you can see that there's a lot of seamless bi-directional time tracking, streamlined accounting and GL updates, and improved labor cost allocation and reporting. Here's a cool thing. If you are interested at the end of this call and you're wanting to just sort of sniff a little bit more, dive a little bit deeper on this Acumatica page on our website, just put in your email address, click submit, and we have a white paper on how Criterion simplifies general ledger updates for Acumatica users. And in fact, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it into the chat so it's there for you super easy. All right. So with that, Steve, I'm going to do a quick mic check. Are you on and ready?
Yes.
All right, perfect. And we got Gary behind the scenes here typing away on answers. We get a lot of questions during these demos, and so please put those in the Q&A. We will answer them either live or we will answer them in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so my friend and soon to be your friend, Steve Tompkins, our solutions architect, can begin to rock and roll with things. All right, Steve, take it away.
Thank you. So you should be able to see my screen here, and I do see there's a nice chat going on. So please keep that up, and we'll monitor that for questions as well as you can just use the Q&A. I noticed that we did get a hand raised. So I'm not sure if there's a question there, but Gary and Brett, if you could look into that.
Will do.
So yeah, great. So I'm going to just briefly talk about the integration. Obviously, you showed that screen with the, kind of explaining the synchronization here. I don't think I need to actually show it because it's kind of one of those things that happens in the background that is transparent to the users. So employees, HR, payroll administrators, there's not a lot you need to do, right? It just happens, and when I hire a new employee as an example, or I make a change to an employee, that information just goes over to Acumatica, either when the person is added or if there is an approval process, which we do a uh, very strong workflow where you can have approvals for different types of changes. But when those changes are finally approved and it's reached that last level, it will then update Acumatica. And in fact, it's using their API. So it's so quick that if you were to be in our system and have a separate window or tab open, you would not be able to beat the speed of it updating the record over into Acumatica. So it is very seamless like that. We're not using any type of file export import situation or anything like that. And the same thing coming back the other direction. Let's say a new project task, that kind of thing is added into Acumatica. It gets pushed into ours so that it's available for people to use on their timesheet. And one of the things that we've added, I don't even want to say recently because it's been about a year now, is our service module integration. So if you are using that for work orders and appointments, that is bidirectional as well. And you can add that information into Acumatica, and then the service workers, the people who are actually going out to the appointments, can use our timesheets if they choose to record their time against that particular service order. And then that information goes right back over and updates the work order over in the Acumatica side when they save that time entry. We also have it the other direction too. So if you would like to continue having that information over in Acumatica, they're going to use Acumatica to enter in that time and everything. It will then land over in our timesheets. So I've talked about the timesheets a few times. Let me show you an example of what a timesheet looks like. So you'll see here in the top, I'm able to enter time or start my time for this particular person. Now I can do this on mobile. So we do have a very robust mobile app that is available for Android and iOS, and it has things like geo fencing, and it works very well. And they don't have to come to the browser to do this. And we do have clocks available that do biometrics. So as an option, I should say, you can still use things like badge swipes and proximities and stuff like that, but a clock's available as well, and a kiosk. Is also available that you can install on a spare tablet or phone and you want to turn it into a time clock. So no additional hardware costs if you want to go that direction. You'll see here an example of clocking in. Now, I've clocked in recently and it's noticing, okay, here's the project task that I was last working on. And perhaps I'd like to pick up where I left off. And I'm certainly able to do that. Now, if I was using the service work, I would see things like the work order and then appointment information, and I'd be able to select those. And these would be for me. So if I'm assigned that particular project task, or as I mentioned in the service work, if I'm assigned that, I would see it, and maybe other people would not. Or if there's a team working on it, maybe there's a crew that's going to a particular project, we would all be able to track our time against that project. Or perhaps there's multiple people on an appointment, they would all see that. And you'll see here, I can have a list of projects and stuff. So very simple to do this. And of course, this will match up to what you see in Acumatica, including, the codes, and you'll see the descriptions, of course, those will match up, and very easy to enter in, including, I can just search like that and type things in, and this will update to reflect what's related to that particular project. So if I change this, you'll see here how that's changed to accommodate the different project. With our mobile app, as I mentioned, it does have, geo fencing and geo tracking when they clock in or out. It's not going to be tracking them throughout the day. But the nice thing about that is, if you are using that, it can even notice that you are at a project site. So you're in this particular, site because you're in construction or you're on the road doing appointments. It'll say, "Oh, you're here. So here's the project or the work order that's associated with that location." It even works offline. So if you're in a space with poor coverage or no coverage at all, the app will work just fine to allow you to clock in and out. And then once you're return to good coverage, or you're back on Wi-Fi or something like that, it will then synchronize those punches up to the system here. So here you'll see an example of clocking in. And so now my day started. And of course, things like overtime and shift differentials and all those things that might go into time entry are going to be, tracked by the system. In fact, I'll show you an example of a timesheet here where you can see what a timesheet might look at like. Here's that punch I just made, and you'll see how that works here. And then, like I mentioned, things like overtime and breaks, like lunch breaks, if you're in a state or a locality where you got to track that, out for the day, shift differentials, and all those nice things that we have to worry about, and time entry and time tracking are taken care of. You'll see here an example holiday. So I had one yesterday showing that out there. All right. Of course, we're not just a time system. This is a very robust HCM. So employees get access to all of their data that you would like to give them access to. In fact, I'll open this up. You'll see everything that I might have access to as a user. And as I mentioned, a lot of this information can go over to Acumatica. I might put a change into my address, and that information, you choose to have that sent over to Acumatica, I could do that right here. All right, so you'll see here, like there's my address. I can update that, and as this gets approved and updates into the system, it'll update right into the system right there. So just to give you an example of that, some of the other things you can see here on my record, but also, of course, would be in HR, my job and pay information. You'll see stuff like the EO categories, workers' compensation, certified rates, if that's something you need to concern yourself with. Additional positions. So if you do have folks with multiple jobs and multiple pay rates, we handle that well. And then you'll see position history, of course, historical data for that employee as they have, from hire to their current information. You'll see that information out there. And this is a full snapshot of that data, which allows us very accurate point in time reporting. So I can always go back, to any point in time and get an accurate head count and accurate information about those employees. And you'll notice here, it's the full record that I just saw right there. All right, I'm going to not spend all day in self-service. Let's talk a little bit about what an administrator or payroll person, HR person is going to see. So very easy access to that. Of course, through security, you decide who gets access to it. I already have these tabs open up here to make it easy. So here's an example of a dashboard that you might need to see this information out here. See, does a request to see my video? I can do that. My smiling face. So here's an example of the dashboard that I have. Now, this, of course, is highly configurable, but easy to use. So I can have things up here, just point in time metrics about things like the number of employees, if I'm using the applicant tracking, recruiting, how many positions. Maybe there's other metrics up here that are important. Maybe you want to see overtime hours for the week, or I don't know, number of vacations planned in the next 14 days or something. You can have whatever you like up here. We would work with you to make sure those are showing. And here you'll see, things, again, visual, not just numbers, but visual representations of data looking back into the last 24 months, also projecting forward. So you'll see things like that, how we can use our analytics to look at that stuff forward. And going down, you'll see other things out here. And again, these are just some examples. Every company has different requirements of reporting and analytics that they like to see. So we like to meet that But just to show you, these are interactive. I can, click on them to get more data. I can even click on certain things and it will update the other graphs based off of what I selected. So I selected males right here, and you'll notice the work locations updated and the top 10 departments and the pay rates and everything updated there. If I select a particular ethnicity as an example, you'll see how they update. And of course, I don't need to just choose EEO information. It can be whatever I like. Maybe I want job titles and departments. I can have those types of things on this analytics and have it update. And of course, these are my analytics. I might have different ones for different users. Maybe payroll is concerned about taxes and I don't know, overtime or something like that. They may have a completely different dashboard, and we can accommodate that for those individual users. And then just to give you a peek at the HR side or the administrative side, looking at employees, first thing you may notice is that these screens look at the same as they do in self-service. So you're not having to learn two systems. And they look similar to what's in Acumatica. I know Acumatica has a different look. I've been a long-time Acumatica user myself. So it looks different, but the information, of course, would flow across over into that from our system to Acumatica and vice versa. So I could see, what projects and tasks somebody's working on based off of what's coming over from Acumatica. You'll see that information right there. I want to see benefits information or time off plans and things like that. I'm able to see that right here. What's the benefits this person has? How much time off do they have? And things like that. And of course, our system accommodates employees making requests or changes to these things. For example, open enrollment or life events on benefits, or time off requests. They want to request vacation for next month or something like that. We're able to easily accommodate that in the system, and a wide variety of benefits and time off plans. Of course, I showed you a sneak, peek of just a few different handfuls of ones, but you may have several medical plans and dental and vision, et cetera, or things you're not seeing here, like short-term disability, legal plans, uh, flexible, spending accounts for medical and dental, HSAs, life insurance, et cetera. We accommodate all those things, and we talk to Acumatica, but we also talk to carriers. So you add a new plan in here, we can set that up there so you can see that. So that's information, goes from our system to the carriers. We also can come back the other direction. We see that a lot of times with retirement accounts where we send, the enrollment, but then employees make changes on their retirement account rather than coming into our system. They may make it on the website of the provider, and that information could come back into ours. So we are bi-directional as far as that data is concerned as well. Right. I think there's been some questions coming through. Brett, I don't know if you have anything that we need to ask here. I've been really monitoring this Q&A too much, but
No, we don't have a
is there
lot of
anything?
questions coming through. I think we've got, I've been chatting with some people in here that have some specific questions, but we don't have any Q&A. So please continue to move forward. And then everybody, as you, have questions about what you're seeing, feel free to go ahead and use the Q&A. We actually have another question that just came in. Is this integrated with
Mhm.
the field service module of Acumatica? Specifically, if a technician visits a customer on site to repair equipment that
Mhm.
has been sold, will they be able to log their time against the corresponding service requests?
Yes. So that's a great question. Yes. So that's part of our service module integration. So field service module, I called it the service module. So yes, you could set up those work orders over in Acumatica, and then schedule an appointment for somebody, let's say tomorrow at 10 a.m. or something like that. The employee can then track their time. They start at 10, they will spend a couple of hours on it, and then it, either is done through our system and pushes over to Acumatica to update that work order, and then maybe that closes it out, maybe there's additional work required, that kind of thing. Or perhaps they track it in Acumatica and they just want it to land into our timesheet after it's all completed on the Acumatica side. We could do that either way. So
Gotcha.
the time I've showed you our system, and I'm not just speaking on the work orders, but also we have a lot of companies who like to use the Acumatica timesheets. They're used to them, and there's no reason to switch over. We can take the time from Acumatica into our system as well. Again, it's a seamless integration. When you run payroll, you just say load time, and it brings that information over.
Perfect. We got another question that we've got a Gary asking it and another Gary answering. But can employees change their settings through the self-service, like benefit changes, 401k updates,
Mhm.
those types of things?
Yes. So for benefits and also many other things, I talked about address changes, but for benefits now, of course, some of these benefits require an event to occur. You can't just go and decide you're going to have medical if you're not eligible to enroll at the time. But if you have a life event, somebody gets married, they have kids, uh, they lost coverage at their spouse or something like that. That's going to be considered a life event,
Hmm.
and those can be entered through the system and allow them to make changes to their benefits. Of course, their annual open enrollment, whenever that is, maybe it's in January, for an example. They go through that open enrollment. They could sign up for their benefits for the next plan year, and make those changes. They need to increase their life insurance or something like that. They can do that. Now, there are some plans that do allow you to change mid-year. 401k is a perfect example. Many times, that's something they can change mid-year. That's something that they can change, directly on the benefit plan. So they can go to their Roth plan or something like that and make that change. And then again, you probably would have an approval, maybe just a notification, but maybe an approval. And that would update the payroll record. So this 15%, maybe they're bumping it up to 20%. When I submit this change, I could just say, like a nicer retirement. They submit that change,
I
and
want
then
one
you'll
of
notice
those
this
too.
says, I think we all do. You'll see that as submission. So that would go to somebody for approval. Now it's possible that we can have it directly approved without submission or approval. Maybe notify payroll that this change happened. And this also applies to other information. Perhaps there's a tax change. They want to, update their W-4 for the next year, as an example, so they can go to their taxes and they can, put a change in for the next year. This one's already submitted, so I can kind of show you what it might look like. But here's the W-4,
Hmm.
and there's single, and number of exemptions, and so forth. So all this stuff can be handled right in the system. And of course, with an approval workflow, and that approval workflow can be very robust. You might have different workflows for different offices or types of employees, or different types of requests. It doesn't all need to follow the same pathway every time. Yeah, great questions on everybody there. So want to make
Very
sure that we
nice.
we answered anything. Yeah, and
Yeah,
of
I think
course.
let's keep going along. And just as a quick time check, it's about 26 minutes in. We don't want to keep you here more than 45 minutes. And Steve, I'd like to just have 5 minutes at the very end to do the quick
Mhm,
poll, and that way people can get their little prize money and enter for the chance for the big prize money, and
mhm.
maybe learn a thing or two about our platform and how it compares to other platforms today.
Yeah, that's great. So I'll just talk real quickly about payroll. I mentioned briefly about certified payroll. So we do offer, very robust certified payroll, including the reporting for certified payroll. So if you do have to deal with that, with the different rates for different jobs or projects and so forth, we offer that, natively, in the software here. We're not using a third party to do all those calculations and tracking those rates and everything. It's all within this one system here. So it was built from the ground up by us to do that, and it's all part of the same data here. Let me just talk real quick about running a payroll. As I mentioned, loading the timesheets. This could be from our timesheets, but it also could be something that, let's say, is from Acumatica's timesheets, or a combination. Perhaps you have service workers who are doing their time entry in Acumatica and other people who are doing their time entry in our system. We can combine those into one, loading of the data here, and it will load those timesheets into the system here. And, maybe all the service work orders are all, ready for next pay period, and you're waiting for everybody else. You're able to bring those in as at separate times as well, without having to worry about any types of duplicates. You may have noticed here other things that we can handle that you might want to do through our system. Commissions, if that's something you have sales folks and different rate schedules and stuff for commissions, we can handle that level of complexity there. Expense reporting. So this allows, of course, your employees to do their expense reports right in our system in self-service in the mobile app. Submit that for approval, whatever the categories are with receipts and scans of those things. Once those are approved, pay them right through payroll. So you don't have to, use a third party software for that. It can be right in our system here. And then, of course, sometimes you need to cash out or pay out vacation. So whether that's, somebody's terminating and you owe them money, perhaps you got a plan that allows them to cash out a balance, we can handle that there. And if you're not using our system for something, you may need to import in from somewhere else. So we see this sometimes where you got to import deductions or bonuses or things like that from a spreadsheet. or file, you can do that right here. So very robust as far as that's concerned. Let me add that time into the timesheet here. While this is saving, let me just talk a little bit about some of the connection to payroll. So I'm not going to process a full payroll here, but let me talk about the connection over into Acumatica. So after payroll is completed, you'll be able to transmit your data directly into Acumatica. Typically, we do that as a batch that needs to be approved in Acumatica, but we can actually approve directly if you like. Of course, your general ledger is probably a little bit more, complex than mine here, but you'll see some of the information that can go across. What we do is we work with you on what information goes. Is it going to be a detailed, every single employee's got a line item for all of their different earnings, deductions, and taxes? Do you summarize by account numbers or by projects or something like that? That's all up to you on how that works there. You'll see some of the columns of data that we can add across over there. If you do need things like hours, if I go down, I'll find some hours here. So you can see this. I have it summarized. That's why I've got 4,000 hours here, but I can definitely go down to the employee detail if that's important to you. I did see a question real quick as I'm talking about this. Yes, we do use Acumatica's API calls to send data. So there's no third-party integration in there. It's directly to Acumatica. We have a very close relationship with them. We work with them, including when updates come out for both sides. So, Acumatica gets updated ahead of time. We're working on any changes that might be applicable in that new version for what we're doing, and vice versa. If there's something that's changing in ours and it means a change in that integration, we take care of that to make sure it's all working. Right. So it is our integration. We maintain that, and we actually, because this information is different for each client, that is something that we would help to configure. If you ever change something, you add a new, I would call this dimension, but maybe it's just a sub account or something like that. Maybe there's another thing here. We can very easily help you do that to make sure that it works there. And then, as I mentioned, I would just hit this button that says transmit to get it to go across over to Acumatica.
So, Steve, we got a couple of questions that are coming in. One of them is just to confirm, you said that Criterion HCM uses Acumatica's API calls to send data both ways. So we will not need an iPaaS solution or
That's correct.
for syncing Acumatica. Okay, good. The second question, which I think we already answered, is a question that said on the GL exports, do you have to have the payroll module installed in Acumatica to do that?
No,
Okay,
we don't use
perfect.
their payroll for that. So we go directly over into the general ledger.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Please continue.
All right. So let's go back over to that payroll. You'll see here, I'm going to show you somebody's time entry, and you'll see in here, I'll just calculate for an individual. You can kind of see what this might look like. You'll see things like overtime and regular time and so forth. Now, these are all going to be configured with you during implementation. You may not use some of these and things like that. And this person doesn't happen to have certified pay rates, but if they did, I'd have multiple lines for regular to reflect perhaps the project they're working on or the job they're performing while they're tracking this time. So this 36 and a half hours might be broken out across several entries in here, and I'd be able to see that. And as I go down, not a great example because it doesn't have any deductions. Let me go to somebody I know has deductions, and that's Mr. Griffin here, the guy I'm logged in as. Because I want to show, very simple to make changes if I need to. You'll see the detail up here at top, including this is going to show you a good example of how it can be broken down. It summarizes up to 4.617 hours, but you'll see the detail in there and the detail in regular. So I'm able to see it. The employee doesn't need to see the detail in their stub, perhaps, so we might hide that information on the stub. They just see 40 hours. But of course, the stub's going to reflect if there's multiple rates. We're going to have multiple line items for that, just to give you an example. And then I come down here, you'll see various deductions and taxes for the employee, deductions and taxes for the company, and a gross to net right here. So very easy to look at this information. And of course, there are dozens of reports you can look at on the payroll side at a minimum just to look at that information here. So if I'm wanting to analyze the payroll and see what's going on there, you'll see various reports. I talked about certified payroll. So we do the Department of Labor certified payroll report right here. We also do work with some third-party reporting services. So if you are working with one of those, we have several integrations, but we know there's many different parties that do certified payroll reporting. So we would be able to add that in if somebody ever needs an additional one. And you'll see things, deductions and taxes and general ledger and incomes and pay date summaries and payroll histories and all these different types of reports down here that are all, built into the system. Just to give you an idea of what it might look like to run a report, you can run it for, of course, any date range you like. If I choose a pay date like the one I'm processing right now as an example, I can do that, but I can break it down by departments or individual employees if I need to. These options, of course, you can get very granular if you like. And then different options for exporting, or viewing it. So maybe a PDF is appropriate because you're just gonna look at it, but you can also export it out to various formats if you need to. And any report in the system can be scheduled to run as well. Probably not, really good during processing because you don't know exactly the time frame for that. But maybe at the end of the week, you need some type of report sent over to, an executive committee or to foreman or something like that to have that information sent to them automatically. And that means, they're going to get a PDF or Excel or whatever format you like in their email. You can even load it into self-service so they're able to have an archive of that information out there as well. Right. I
All
see
right.
there's more questions. I want to make sure.
Yeah, I think we
Maintenance fees
answered
for
most of
Acumatica
them.
integration. Yeah. So Gary answered this, but the question was, are there any maintenance fees for this? And no, there's not. It's just part of the normal fees that you're paying for Criterion. We don't charge extra for our Acumatica integration just because we have dozens of clients using it. We want to make sure it's up to date for everybody. So we maintain that up to date, no additional cost. And there might be other systems that are not other ERPs that we're working with. For a great example, Procore. We use them a lot for project management, and we do an integration with them. So you might do project management in Procore. You're using Acumatica for your your ERP. You're using us for your HCM, and we work great between all three of those. We're talking, we're sending data, we're receiving data, and it's all maintained by us. And we have other integrations that I mentioned, like carriers. We're maintaining all that. We're not charging every time there's like a little change or an upgrade. As I mentioned, we're not nickel and diming you on that. So that
Nice.
was a good question there.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to go ahead and process the entire payroll, but I talked about the general ledger and information like that. Of course, tax filing, we have some options there. We're just to kind of close the book on payroll. You'll see tax filing here. So we can do many of the reports just in-house. So perhaps you're doing 1099s. So of course we do 1099s and 1096s there. 940, 941, you'll see those. You'll see some Canadian things. So if we do have any Canadian friends here, things like the T4 and the RL1 are there, an ROE, the W2s, W3s, Schedule B. These are all just natively supported within the software here. But we have options as well. So we do use Atrix to do a little bit of outsourcing of tax filing and ACA reporting. It is a very cost-effective solution for that. If you don't want to do everything yourself, they offer a great solution that offers also payments, so tax payments without holding your money. That's a big key right there. Atrix doesn't hold your money. You just tell them, we owe this money on Wednesday, for an example, and they push it across. So they take it from your account and they don't even take it from your account. They initiate the transfer from your account to, let's say, the IRS or the state agency or something like that. So they handle all that. As I mentioned, they do ACA reporting. They do, things like the 941, but also state and local forms as well. So it's a great option out there and is very cost effective. We do offer a full outsourced tax option as well, which at the end of payroll, you push a button to say transmit, and they can handle literally everything for you. Tax filing, check printing, direct deposit, garnishments. Really, there's a full boat of things that they can handle for you if you like to, because they're taking care of all of that for you. There's additional costs above what like Atrix charges, but it's also a very effective option for using for tax filing. I think we just have a couple of minutes. I'm going to see if there's anything else outstanding question wise that you've come across there, Brett.
I think we don't have any more questions, and I think you did a great overview. I think now at this point, again, for the last couple of minutes, we're going to do a quick poll. And if there are any questions that you've got, let's please go ahead and put those in. But yeah, let's go ahead and get going with the poll here. Let me just go ahead and share my screen for a second so you don't forget about us. If you do want to talk to us, I did put in a link there to, the request a demo, and you can schedule time directly on there onto your calendar, which should make things fairly easy for you. But with that, let's just go ahead and dive into the poll, and I will get our poll started. Answer a couple of questions. Should be quick, should be easy. It should be showing up on your screen now. Let me know if it is not. But there are just a few very quick questions here. Question number one, what brought you here today? And please be honest. Was it that $50 gift card and a chance to win a ticket to see the Eagles live at the Sphere, or a $500 gift card? That sure seems like a great way to spend my time. By the way, I just went to the Sphere and I saw the U2 experience, which wasn't actually U2, but it looked so real that my brain did not know the difference. So if you can go to that U2 experience or go see the Eagles actually live there, I recommend it. But I understand that that's a lot of logistics, and you might just want that $500 Amazon gift card to do an event with your employees or to do something for yourself. And so it looks like people are answering that question. Second question, I'm a current Acumatica customer and want to hear directly from a shared customer on the impact of Acumatica and Criterion. If you do want to, great. If not, that's fine too. Either just say yes or no. Are you a current Acumatica user? I think most of us should be to be qualified to be on this call. But if you're not, that's okay. We're happy to talk to you about other integrations we've got. We've got quite a few. And then how long have you used Acumatica? Has it been, less than a year, 1 to 3 years, 3 years or more? Looks like the 3 years or more is quite ahead. And then are you happy with your current HR or HCM platform in Acumatica? Looks like it's split down the middle. Some people are a little bit more satisfied. That's good. And then if you choose to answer, who do you use for your current HR or HCM platform today? We're just always curious of what's going on there. So we're going to keep this poll up for another minute or two. Again, just want to make sure we're sharing with you, our website. Please feel free to visit there. You'll see under our partners more information about Acumatica. And then again, if you wish to get our white paper that explains our integration in a little bit more detail, please do. Looks like Georgie, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. You're going to be at the summit as well. I think we're at 511 is the booth number that we are at. So hopefully you can stop by and visit us. Meanwhile, most of you are putting in the answers to the questions. And with that, if there's no more questions, I don't see any more Q&A. I don't see any more in the chat. We're going to give you a couple of minutes back in your day. The final thing I will say before we drop off and before we make sure everybody's answered the questions is, when's the last time you called a software company, whether it's SaaS or software, whether it's HR or not? People actually pick up the phone, people respond, and people actually want to talk to you. That's what we do. Not something that is very rare in this world today. A lot of our competitors don't do it. And we may be perfect sometimes, we may be far from perfect other times. But when you have challenges or you have opportunities or you find a way that you want to try to scale things up a little bit more, and you're able to pick up the phone and get us on the phone, magical things can happen. And that just doesn't happen that often anymore. So with that, I'm just going to say that we are wrapping things up. We're going to go ahead and end the poll. Thank you all so very much for being a part of this, whether you're a Criterion user or not, whether you are in HR or not. We appreciate your time, your energy, answering the questions, and being a part of our experience today. So on behalf of Steve and Gary and myself and the entire team at Criterion HCM, thank you and have an awesome rest of your day. Hope to see you soon.